I'm Queen.
And this is this little podcast of ours. These are conversations that take place between a husband and wife in the privacy of our own home that we bring to you guys, sometimes to make you laugh, sometimes to make you think, to be introspective, but it's always to open up the lines of communication. And of course, these conversations take place in the exact location that they usually take place, right here. We're glad that you guys are tuned in and joining us for season 3. And shouts out to all of our new subscribers. If you are brand new, thank you for joining us. Those of you that, joined us on debate night, we appreciate it. So, hop in, buckle up, and enjoy the ride. We are on all streaming services. You can hear us on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcast, all of the places that you can stream your podcast. And if you prefer to see us in person, youtube.com/Brad Kamikaze Franklin, youtube.com/Brad Kamikaze Franklin. Of course, when I put my finger right here, boom, somewhere in here, you'll see it. Just subscribe to the YouTube page. Make sure you turn on the notifications. That's important because every Tuesday at 7 p.m., that bell will ring. It'll pop up on your phone, and you'll be able to check out the brand new episode of According to Kaz and Queen. We're also on Black with No Chaser. All you got to do is download the Black with No Chaser radio app. All right, download the BWNC radio app. It's a lot of dope black podcasts. All right, shouts out to all the folks over at Black with No Chaser. It's a lot of dope podcasts on that app as well. So not just us, the Vibe Controllers are on there as well. A lot of folks that you can go and check out. That's really, really dope. This is brought to you, of course, again, by the Kundi Collection, www.kundicollective.com. We got some of that new According to Kaz and Queen merch, all right? And you're seeing it right here, all right? According to Kaz and Queen merch, you can get the hoodies, you can get the T-shirts. They are on the website, www.kundicollective.com. Get you one, be in the know, be one of the cool kids, have you some of this official According to Kaz and Queen merch. And we got some other stuff that's going to be coming up really, really soon. So we appreciate y'all following us. So on the heels of Thanksgiving, on the heels of a really big weekend that we had, debate night went off, and it was marvelous. It was absolutely fantastic. Shouts out to everybody who came to debate night. Shouts out to everybody that has hit us up and let us know how you thought about what you thought about the event, what you learned. Everybody says they enjoyed it. They had a blast. It was a really good grown folks time, man. And if you're just tuning in and you missed it, we'll be doing it again. But debate night was fantastic, and it was a very good conversation. Something different, something new, something targeting an older demographic, and, learned some things, got some laughs, talked about all kinds of things, domestic violence, talked about first dates, talked about older single people dating. My bride and I gave, one of the many stories that we have about us being together there as well. A time was had, revelry. It was fantastic. So today, actually, I have a couple of questions that did not get asked at debate night. 2 that were in the bowl that did not get asked at debate night. We're going to read those questions off today. And we're going and we're going to answer those questions.
I did not know we were doing that.
Yes, on the fly, baby.
That's how we
do it. That's how we do it. That's how we do it. That is how
he set me up.
This is how it gets done. This is how it gets done. So we're going to do that today, so that you guys can, kind of get a taste of, what happened on debate night. But, real quick, what were some of your, casual observations on the event itself? Some of the conversations that took place, some of the funny stuff that took place. It was a couple of really funny moments because I knew at some point there was going to be a guy or a man that was going to get on the mic and get attacked. I almost knew that was going to happen. Yeah,
that was inevitable.
I almost knew 100% that was going to happen, and it did happen. But, what'd you think of it?
I thought it was good. I thought it was really grown. It was a nice, sexy atmosphere. The people who were there were, there was an energy of eagerness and revelry, which I expected and I fully participated in.
Yeah.
So it was, for me, it was really refreshing. I always like to be in the midst of people who are, kind of joined in on one accord. Not a whole bunch of different sets of energy in the
Yeah.
room. Everybody kind of on the same energy level.
Yeah.
Everybody was, taking in drinks. Everybody was asking questions, or at least participating in conversations. I saw small little groups of people discussing what was being discussed.
Absolutely.
Which we anticipated that being the case, which is
That was the
why we
purpose.
had the questions in the room. We were asked about a threesome. That threw me for a loop. It seemed random, but wasn't a problem for us to answer.
I really want to know who asked that question. If you're watching, reveal yourself. Because
It was anonymous. They had, they didn't have to.
It was just
tell us.
It was just ironic that the threesome question came to the married couple on the panel.
Is it though? I think the idea is, especially if it came from a married couple, I think the idea was, can there be a successful relationship if you have a three-way or have not so traditional ideas about marriage?
Correct.
So I thought it was a pretty good question, so it was a little strange because it was the first question when we opened
It was
up.
right out the gate.
Yeah, so it was a little strange, but it was a good question.
Most times I think when you're in a room like that, I always think that the single people are going to get questions first, and then they'll kind of get to us. When we do these panels and we had these events, but this question was directed to us right out the gate. It was in the fishbowl. Somebody wrote it down anonymously on a card and they asked. And, it was interesting to see the reactions in the room because, for those that have not been around us, of course, we're very transparent. It was interesting to see the reactions because,
I didn't catch any reactions.
I was kind of, doing events and being on stage and, I'm observant. Yeah. So I always read the room, I try to read faces. I try to, take stock of what's happening because that helps me to figure out, when we're going to stop, when we're going to close, what question we need to go to, where we need to move to. I got to feel what the crowd is doing. That's just the performer in me that does that. So, I saw, reactions in the room and some people were like, oh, and some people were like, and then some people were like, So it was a lot of different things in there. But at any rate, the threesome question always comes up, with us. And, I allow my wife to answer the question because, when we talk about this is kind of how this thing flows. So for those that were not there, we're going to go into it because you brought it up and people are watching here and some
they should have been there.
Yeah, they should have been there. You should have been there and you would have got the goods on it. But this is a question that a lot of married people ponder and ask. We've been asked by other married people before. And, it's something that we have answered and we've been glad to answer. But, I'll let you chime in and we'll kind of go forward because I guess people are going to want to know because you just brought it up.
I feel like they should have been there. If you want to know, you should have been there.
Yeah.
That's one of the takes of missing it. So now you don't know because you wasn't there.
But
you want to tell it.
If you've been around us before,
it's not a really big secret. If you just stick around long enough and watch According to Kaz Queen, you'll get the answer.
And if you know us and then you've been around and you've been out, again, the Franklins are very transparent about what we do, and we do absolutely what works for our household.
I've been asked and kind of warned actually about our transparency. So let's speak to that a little bit.
I think, and you did, and we had a conversation off camera about that. And, it has its merit. And I think even in the transparency that we have, we're still not 100% transparent. We're just very transparent. There are things that still happen in our household that people don't know. There are issues and instances and events that have happened in our household and in our marriage that people are not privy to. Things that are going on in our families that people are not privy to. We don't talk a lot about our families per se outside of the holiday stuff and the good stuff, but issues that are going on with the family and those kind of things, we don't get into all of that. But I kind of feel like being transparent prevents and eliminates the ability of other people to try to pick at you, tear you down, uh, poke holes in your marriage, poke holes in your integrity, poke holes in your honesty and you being your true self. I always say all the time that, people oftentimes build people up on pedestals just so that they can come by at some point and knock them down and knock them off pedestals. So, we're not going to give you that opportunity because we're going to give you the information on what's happening. We tell you that we're not perfect. We tell you about the issues that we have. We tell you about what we're doing and sometimes what we do in our bedroom so that, nobody's going out here chirping and blowing a horn saying, oh, I did this and I was there with them when this happened and I saw them do this. It's not going to be any surprises because we're going to basically tell you what it is that we do because, again, the only people that need to be concerned about what happens in keeping this marriage together is the two of us. We do what works for our household. We don't do what works for your household. And we don't give a damn what goes on in your household. We give advice based upon our marriage. We're not experts. We don't think we're better than anybody. We always put out that disclaimer. We're telling you what works for us. We're telling you about our experiences. Some of them work, and some of them might not work for you. What we do in our home and in our bedroom may not work for you. You may not at all be into doing threesomes. You may not think it's something that you should be doing as a married couple. It might not be your cup of tea. That's cool. That's what you need to do for your household. What we do in our household is, of course, what works for us, because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, when the rubber meets the road and all those, like throwing out those platitudes. We've been watching shows where they're just throwing out sayings and platitudes all over. But anyway, at the end of the day, when the rubber meets the road, when it comes counting time, the only people that have to deal with the consequences of what we do in this household is us and the little one back here.
I'm actually by nature a private person. I have been learning how to be more transparent. But I think the reason why people have difficulty with transparency in relationships is because they are not living authentic lives. So we are authentically showing up in all facets of our lives, not just our marriage, in our careers, in our parenting, in our relationship with families and friends. We show up authentically, flaws and all. So it's not difficult. It's not a chore. It's not something we have to contemplate when we're asked a question. We can answer that question truthfully because we live truthful lives. So I think if you have a problem with our ability to be transparent, then it's a reflection of something that you need to work out for yourself.
You got a problem with your own inner self.
Or you are living a lie and you are uncomfortable showing up in a place where truth is absolute. We don't live a lie. And we are absolutely honest with each other. There's nothing about my past that my husband doesn't know. There's nothing about what I see for my future that he doesn't know. Does that mean he agrees? Not all the time. Does that mean that I should be ashamed? Some of the stuff I've done is not, nothing I write a billboard about.
Oh.
However, he knows. So it's not a problem for me to be sitting next to him telling somebody else in the effort of trying to get people to recognize themselves in what we've already been through. I mean, that's what life is about. Yeah. Life is about going through, learning lessons, and then trying to help other people to prevent them from having to go through the same things you've gone through. Exactly. So when I'm given an opportunity to say, okay, look, this is what I did. When I was your age, I did this. This is what I learned. This is how it hurt me. This is how it helped me. That's what I feel like my contribution is to this life. So yeah, transparency is not an issue for the Franklins.
It's not, because I have done things that I am not proud of that I've told you about. And as you get older, there should always be things that you are not proud of that you've done as you were younger. I have been a terrible father at times. I have been a terrible boyfriend at times. I have been a bad husband at times. I have had to deal with the consequences of all of those actions. I've been a bad friend at times. I've been a bad business partner at times. I have been bad in several areas of my life. So The past is just that. It's the past. As long as you're not dwelling in it and you're learning from it, it's different. And as long as you are living in your truth, whoever it is, and I think that's why a lot of people are comfortable around us, because they can live in their truth around us. They can be who they are. The Franklins don't put on airs. We don't put on a show. We're not trying to impress anyone at all whatsoever. Whatever it is that you think is whatever it is that you think. We do what we do. And, unapologetically. And I think, people may have been shocked. People may have not been shocked to hear the stories. We have a lot of people that not heard the story of us breaking up. A lot of people that thought we had been together, continuously since the first time we got together. A lot of people didn't know that story. A lot of people didn't know the bodies that we left in our wake as single people leading up. I've heard a lot of conversations about people with body count. Does body count matter? This number of people you've had sex with up to a particular time. None of that matters when you find a person that you want to spend the rest of your life with, because at the end of the day, again, keep using that. When you're on your deathbed, or you are next to your spouse's deathbed, you're holding their hand, and y'all are in the twilight of your lives, body count ain't gonna matter. Whether or not you had threesomes ain't gonna matter. Whether or not you spent $500 on a first date ain't gonna matter. Whether or not you went to the Cheesecake Factory, whether or not y'all went 50-50 in your household, none of that is gonna matter when you're 65, 70 years old and you're looking and wishing and hoping that there was somebody to spend the twilight of your life, your twilight years with. I want to be with her, and I want to be able to reach over and hold her hand until I expire and I leave this planet. And that's what I want. And at that time, that is all I'm worried about. I am only concerned about making sure that this woman is with me for the rest of my life. That's my only concern.
Oh, and baby, that is so sweet.
And what happened before then, for me, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, none of this is going to matter. The money, the fame, your celebrity, all of this is not going to matter. There's so many older people that I talk to that are in their late 60s and 70s, and some of them even in their 80s, when they talk about what's important to them at that point. And none of them talk about spending $200 on a first date and taking somebody to Cheesecake Factory and going 50-50 on bills and all of this and that type of revelry. They don't talk about any of that shit, man. They talk about being in love. And, the stories that I see of people who, husbands and wives that die next to each other, or die holding hands to each other, or, once one spouse dies and then the other one dies a few months afterward. Those kind of things. Those are people who just knew that they were going to be together till the end, till death do they part. And that's really the most important thing at the end of the day. I don't care how many people my wife had sex with before she got with me. That's her business. And she doesn't care how many people I had sex with before. We have already talked about this, and we've talked about it on this show. We was doing our thing. We had rosters. You know what I'm saying? So, my wife now has a really strong pimp hand. I love to see her pimp hand at work. I tell people that all the time. My wife has a very strong pimp hand, and her game is strong. And, sometimes there is an attractive, unsuspecting young lady that we might meet out, and
Lord have mercy.
My wife might whisper some sweet nothings in her ear, and then whatever happens after that happens. I enjoy watching it myself. I'm a spectator at heart. I enjoy it.
You might be just threw a wrench in my game right there.
Nah, it's not a wrench in the game because your pimp hand is strong. They can't stop it when it's strong like that. You know what it is. And it's not one of those things too. I got to preface this. It's not one of those things where, you're seeing those comedies like, we're not sitting back at the bar like, we're not walking around lurking, trying to find unsuspecting victims to, draw into our lair. It's one of those things that if it happens, it just happens.
Actually, if we're really being clear, this whole thing was earlier in our relationship.
Yeah.
So we're not closed off to it, but we don't operate in it.
Yeah, we don't operate in it. It's not something, we don't get together and plan to go out, on a hunt to try to find somebody to do that. It's something, if it happens. But in our marriage, it's on the table. It's something that's open. We are a very sexual couple. We are a sexual married couple. The sex did not get boring or unexciting or uninviting for us once we got married. We talked about these things. And I think that's probably one of the most important things is we actually had a conversation. For me to find out all of this, we had to have a conversation. For us to get to the point where we were comfortable doing that, we had to have a conversation about what the parameters are, what this is. I didn't know right off the bat that, my wife would be open to this. I didn't know this. The conversation came up. And what if we had never talked about it, never communicated it, and then something else would have happened? And I see people and I see couples in marriages where this happens all the time. If you're honest and your intent is there to be truthful and open in the beginning, you don't know what opportunities may open up to you.
You know what happens when a man is with a woman who's attracted to other women and he doesn't know that she's attracted to women?
What's that?
Cheating.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to go away. You can't just say, I'm not going to do it because I'm with a man. Yeah. If you are attracted to a woman and you are a woman attracted to a woman, that you're going to get what you need, which is the same thing as to why women have to talk to their men about what they doing. The same thing, what they feeling like, what are you attracted to? Because I cannot be a man for you if you're attracted to a man. You can't be a woman for me if you're attracted to a woman. So there's going to be some dishonesty in the relationship, even if there's no cheating. There's going to be some dishonesty because you're not showing up as who you really are. The one thing that I have never done is pretend to be anything that I am not with this man. Never. Even the stuff that I'm embarrassed by, the stuff that hurts me, breaks me, that I don't want to tell him because I'm ashamed of feeling this way or being this way. Even those things, I still sit him down and say, look, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm feeling. I understand this is not something I want to celebrate, but this is how I feel. Now that he knows that, he can decide, okay, how do we get through this? How do I support her? Or he can go sit by himself however long he needs to digest that information and decide if he even want to fool with it, if he even want to deal with it. But it would be wrong for me to show up any other way than who I truly am.
The worst thing that could happen is to, be in your marriage and be surprised by something that your mate likes. Those are conversations that you have to, talk about, ahead of time. You know what I'm saying? If your wife is attracted to women, if your husband is attracted to men, there's a lot of dudes that have wives that are actually attracted to women, and they think that because this woman marries me, I'm going to be able to squash or suppress that desire for them to be with women. And because that's the ego in men, that is the machismo in men. And I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. You got to figure out a way to make that work for you. And you got to figure out a way to have that conversation, because again, and we said this at the event, being married does not mean that you are no longer attracted to other people. It does not mean that you will no longer be aroused by other people. It does not mean that you're not going to see other people that you like. It does not mean that your eyes are scratched out. What marriage means is that you do all of those things. You are attracted to people. There are other people that may make you sexually aroused, but you have the discipline and you have the respect for your partner, and you have the sense enough to not act on it. That's really all it is. And if, that's the issue, these are why those conversations need to take place. Discipline is very important. That's why I said I couldn't be married to someone who was not attracted to women, because the one thing that I was not going to do is spend the rest of my life at dinner and at places and at the movies and going out and sitting here getting a crook in my neck trying to take my eyes and look at somebody's fat ass as they walking by, because I'm scared of what my wife is going to say. I said a long time ago, I am not going to spend the rest of my life doing this. When we out now and somebody with a fat ass walk by, I can look at the fat ass. I can say, baby, look at the fat ass. Or she tapping me and saying, baby, look at that fat ass. And then we continue eating at the end of the day. And then that's all it is to it. The people just got to sit here and do this with their neck the whole time, and they can't look, and they got to look down and do all of that, or they can't acknowledge that somebody else is attractive. That to me is a horrible existence for the rest of your life to have to deal with. So, I'm lucky that I can come to my wife and be like, she fine. or she fine, or baby, look at her, she fine, or she tell me, baby, look at her, she fine, she's attractive, I like her, look at her titties. Hey, high five. All that is good. So, at the end of the day, I had to have somebody to do that because I know me and I know her and we know where we were when we were single people. And, we have that communication so that happens. Interesting enough, that was actually one of the questions that did not get asked.
Okay.
One of the questions was, what do you do? Let's see here. Okay. What do you do when you have a mate that is bisexual?
Now, we just answered that.
Did we answer the bisexual thing or the attraction thing?
Oh, that's not the same.
I mean, I don't really maybe it is.
What do you mean? What do you do when you're...
And I don't know if that was a male or a female asking that question.
I don't think, that don't matter.
Yeah.
When you have a mate that's bisexual, what do you do? Mm-hmm. That's really, really open. What do you do about what?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing is you need to make sure that you're comfortable with that. That's the first thing. Whatever that is, you need to make sure that you're comfortable with it. If you have been in for some months and it's bothering you and you still haven't figured it out, then that might not be the relationship that you need to be in.
Yeah, if you're not cool with them being bisexual, you have the right to be like, no, this is not the relationship for me.
And that's fine.
That's cool.
Absolutely
that just
fine.
Needs to be an early conversation. Now, what you don't want to do is tell yourself that you cool with it when you really not.
Be cool with it.
Because
that's the worst.
In a year's time or whenever, that's going to work out just fine until the attraction or the desire for the same sex happens. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When that happens and you're put to the test, now you have to actually live on what you said, which is I'm cool with it. And if you're not cool with it, it's going to be problematic. Mm-hmm. So this goes back to having these conversations early in the relationship. Mm-hmm. When you at the cheesecake factory, mm-hmm. you need to be having these kind of conversations so that you can decide then and there, is this something that I want to deal with? Is this something that I feel like is worthwhile? Is this something that's going to be a problem later? Mm-hmm. Can I satisfy this person? Because if they're bisexual, then chances are that once they fall in love with you, they good. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
There's a good chance of that.
Absolutely.
So it's just about what you're willing to put up with, what is a red flag for you, mm-hmm. and if you're good with it, give them the right to be who they are, mm-hmm. and be authentic about how you feel about it, and just mm-hmm. communicate through the whole thing.
And you definitely need to be spending that date time having a conversation and not worrying about how much money they spending on the date. That's what the date is for. The dates are for you to have these conversations. I like one of the things that was said at debate night that the single lady said, and both of them were saying that they were not really interested in dating. And one of them, Pia, actually said, I don't go out in public with you, and I'm not seen with you until we have chilled and probably had sex and all of that before we go out in public and have the date. And that's actually a smart way to do things, in my opinion. Mm-mm. You disagree?
Yeah, no. You're not coming to my house.
Well, not necessarily coming to the house.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
Because if you're not in public, where you at?
The coming to the house thing is not, you can go to a hotel. You can go to neutral sites. She did say that, she was giving out the tag number and all the information to the friend so that she could, she was taking precautions.
Okay. So she was being thoughtful about safety.
Yes. She said that she gave, I don't know, I think you might have been in the green room at that time. But yeah, she said, I have two friends. One married couple set of friends and another friend. I get your tag number, all of your information, all of that stuff, and I give it to them before you come to my house. So, and then there are people that live close to her.
Yeah, but something could happen. That ain't gonna do nothing but tell them who did it. That's just to each his own.
I mean, you will know the number one suspect at the time.
I'm absolutely not bringing somebody in the beginning stages to my house for something that intimate.
And I get it.
Me personally.
And I get it. But here's the thing. There is some merit for me for knowing if this is a person that you even want to be seen with in public.
Absolutely. Because from what I understand, from what Pia and Mel were saying, that thing is real crucial out there about who you step out with. Like, soon as you step out, if you with somebody, you with them. Like, that's what y'all doing out there in the single life.
The dating
It's
pool is
weird.
so fucked up now. If somebody sees you on a date with somebody, y'all go together.
So you can't even date multiple people because now you a hoe. Because if you come out this weekend with this guy, and maybe Friday you go out with them, and then Saturday you go out with them, then everybody thinking you with everybody you show out. I mean, like, that's weird.
And it's really crazy because just imagine, what if I go out Monday and I go to the Cheesecake Factory and I don't have sex with this dude? Thursday, I go to another restaurant. Saturday, I go to another restaurant. I've had some great meals and had some great conversation. Didn't have sex with anybody, but because you saw me out with 3 different dudes, you think I fucked 3 different times.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's wild out here. And that's another one of the reasons, like, I swear to God, I don't want any parts of the dating pool out there these days. It's scary.
But you still have to do what's right for you. Pia's doing what's right for her. The next person should be doing what's right for them, you know. And it's not going to always make sense to everybody.
Yeah. So another one of the questions that did not get asked, how and when do you propose? And do you do closed or a big wedding? And as the woman, I'll allow you to answer that question. How and when to propose? Closed or a big wedding?
I think you should answer the
proposal
question.
part. Don't propose unless you are sure that you want to get married. That's A. How is up to you and whatever your level of creativity is.
How do you determine when you're ready to propose? I think is what they're asking.
For me, I knew, of course, we told our story about our separation. I knew the moment that you left me and there was that 3-year span where we were separated. I knew the moment as I saw you drive off into the distance with your mattress on the back of that truck. I knew then that you were going to be my wife and I was going to marry you.
That is such a shame.
When I got you back, I was going to marry you. When I got you back, you wasn't going no place else again. It snapped to me just like that. And of course, it's cliche, and everybody in the room who, you know, was decidedly on your side at that time that said, well, you know, why did it take her doing that for you to get it? And sometimes that's what it takes. It took me getting that good, swift punch in the gut for me to realize that, hey, man, you about to fuck up and you about to lose your wife. And I knew that when I got you back, I was going to propose to you at that time. So it was already planned. So the plan was to make sure that I got you back. And it took me a while, but I got you back. And the moment that happened, I think, you know, once we got back together, I think it was a few months after that I proposed to you. And it was a nice event that we were at. We were in a nice suite, nice hotel. I was hosting an event. I was in a tuxedo, and I thought that was the appropriate time. I'm not big on the public displays. You know, if you're somebody that does the proposals at the football game, on the Titantron, or on the baseball field, or you get together at the family reunion, or you get all your friends over and, you know, you do all of this and you got the camera guy there. I'm not a big production guy on that sense. This was an intimate moment between me and the person that I wanted to marry me. And I wanted that moment to be able to stay that way. I didn't want anybody else to be able to tell the story of that night and what happened but me and her. And we're the only 2 people that were there at the time. You know, there were some friends who were downstairs who we went down and gave the news to when we got down there, when she had the engagement ring on her finger. But the actual event, when it actually happened, that story is just ours.
We were so like not working towards marriage internally. Mm-hmm. We didn't even know which finger the ring went on. He put the ring on the wrong finger.
Yeah, somebody had to.
So we went downstairs, and his friend was like, "Why is her ring on the wrong hand?"
I put that thing on that wrong finger, man. It was down there. Hey, y'all, look.
I didn't know either, though.
That finger. So, what was that? Was it here? Was it on the?
It was on. No, it was on the wrong hand.
The wrong hand.
It was on my right hand. Okay. It goes on the left hand.
I didn't mean to flick y'all off out there, but I thought that's the finger that we put it on. But yeah, we was on the wrong hand. Everything was wrong. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I knew to get down. I knew to get down on one knee and ask her to marry me. It was my first time doing it, and like I said at debate night, that was my first time proposing, and I aimed for it to be my last time proposing. It's my first time getting married, and I aim for that to be the last time that I get married. I just, these people out here that are getting married 3, 4, 5 times, I don't know what you're doing. You're playing around and you're wasting people's time. I don't understand.
They like weddings.
I don't know, man. You're wasting people's time doing that. But that's just me. That's just me, and that's just us. But at any rate, all right. So
the second part was closed
or public weddings, and as the bride, I'll let you answer that question.
So for me, it's always more. To me, it's more about creating a memory and something that can live in my soul forever. So I'm always going to be more inclined to do something intimate. So I appreciate the large weddings. We are also very practical minded people. Mm-hmm. We don't like spending money where it's just to be spending money. Mm-hmm. I've learned over the years as a wedding officiant that the wedding is really for the people who come to watch you get married. It's not necessarily for the two people. Mm-hmm. A lot of times, the bride has this day and she gets to be beautiful and she gets to do all of these wonderful things and, it becomes about the bride, right? But ultimately, it's the show. It's the people who are there that you put this big, huge thing on for. We've never been those kind of people, individually and definitely not collectively. So it wouldn't be anything. I wouldn't want something gigantic. Our wedding was at the Rose Garden in Jackson, Mississippi, outside, nighttime wedding. Downtown Jackson. Mm-hmm. Nobody was there except the people that I absolutely positively knew wanted the both of us to be happy forever. If I had to question in any way, shape, or form the energy that you would bring, you could not be there. So it was very small, maybe 20 people. Then we had a ceremony about a month later where we opened it up to, extended family and friends and coworkers and people who wanted to just kind of be there to celebrate us.
Yeah.
And that was beautiful as well. But it's always more important to me that the energy is controlled and dictated by us. So intimate is always going to be my choice. Mm-hmm. Now, I do think that big weddings can have their place if you got the money for it. It's not going to stretch you and this is what you want, do your thing. But make sure that you're not doing it for the wrong reasons, like just to show up or because you have this name and people expect you to do this or because you want a particular look or, you have a brand that has to be out there. Like those to me aren't reasons enough to have a particular type of wedding. I think it's important that you stay true to yourself and that you don't miss what it's actually supposed to be about. The wedding day is basically a celebration, which could be anything. You could get married in a bar. You could get married in your backyard. It's just a celebration. Yeah. What should really be happening is concentration on togetherness and togetherness forever and marriage. The marriage actually happens to get lost in the planning of the wedding. Mm-hmm. So be very careful about that. So yeah, I say intimate and small so you can control the energy so it can be happy and positive because you can let one person sneak in that crowd who hates you or wants you to fail or doesn't believe in your marriage and set the wrong energy for your marriage and for your event or your wedding. So that's more important to me. I want to be able to make sure that every single person in there is on one accord and wants us to be happy and to thrive. So that was our focus.
First of all, if you are a person that goes and gets a suit or a tuxedo and puts on a suit and tie and hard bottom shoes or puts on a dress and puts on makeup and heels to dress up to go to an event because you want to see something fail or you want to show up at somebody's wedding to provide bad energy, you are a psychopath. You are a supervillain. The fact that there are people who may dress up to actually go to do that it's disheartening. But if you are,
They probably don't know that they doing it, baby. Some of them are doing it unconsciously because they want to be the ones getting married.
I mean, well, I think that happens a lot.
Yeah, it does.
I think there were some people at the 20, 25 people that was at our wedding that wanted to be getting married.
Nah, not to the point of where they weren't happy that we were getting married.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe.
You might need to go back through that in your head.
It's not a hard stretch.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, but it's either way. They wasn't stopping the show because we here.
Yeah.
So we wasn't stopping the show at all. All right, so this question was, who is more responsible for bearing the emotional burden in the relationship? Is it men or women?
Women.
Why do you say that?
Because women are spiritually responsible for their household. The men are practically responsible for the household.
To a degree, yes.
No, it's science.
It's not exactly science. I mean, that's maybe from a gender role perspective, because I know that you are traditional in that sense. But you need men that are emotionally intelligent in a relationship, do you not?
Mm-hmm. It would help.
You have to have men who are in tune with their emotions, who are
What's the
emotionally
question?
mature, who bears the emotional burden in the relationship. Is it men or women? You said women, and I wasn't disagreeing with you, but I was also saying,
Yeah,
that,
I don't want you was finna go down a road that didn't have nothing to do with that question. So let's take it back and not answer the question.
I mean, I think there's an equal burden.
Well, we gonna fail then
Why you say that?
because you are not emotional.
That doesn't mean I'm right. It means that I need to be more in tune so that I can help to carry some of that emotional burden. That's what I was saying.
Okay.
What? I wasn't disagreeing with you.
Okay.
I wasn't disagreeing with you. I was saying that I acknowledge that I'm not as emotional or as emotionally intelligent as I need to be. You should not be carrying that burden by yourself. That's what I was saying.
Okay, so you're talking about what should happen. I'm talking about what does happen. Because it ain't just us.
The question was who carries the burden.
Women are more emotional than men. So, of course, we're going to carry the burden of the household, the emotional burden of the relationship. And not necessarily a burden, just the emotion of the relationship. We are emotional. That is science. More emotional than men. That is science. Is it not? You should look that up.
We'll look it up and we'll.
I don't
we'll
need to look it up because I've already looked it up, but you can.
You think that that's a gender thing? Just women are just naturally more emotional than men.
Yes.
Because men say that all the time. But is that not something that men would say just to make them feel like they're being more practical? No?
I don't know if men would. I don't know.
You don't know? Okay. So to answer your question, she believes that the woman carries more of the emotional burden in the marriage. In what I feel like should be happening, I feel like there should be some reciprocity in the emotional burden, if that kind of answers the question from two different realms, I guess. So at any rate, those are some questions that did not get asked at debate night. The ones that were recovered, I think some of those people, when their question did get asked, I think they took their question and put it in their pocket and got on out of there because they didn't want nobody to see it. But these were the questions that was left in our bowls at debate night. It was a fantastic event, of course, once again, and we're going to be doing it again. So, you know, Kaz Queen might be reaching out to some particular singles or some couples out there to keep the conversation going. And we're going to be taking it on the road and doing some different things. I think the panel that we had was fantastic. And again, everybody that, you know, has responded back said they had a great time. The spirits were flowing, not just internally, but the spirits as in the wine and spirits. Shouts out to Jarita Fraser King. We're coming from Natchez. Brought us some black-owned wines and paired it with some of her signature appetizers. And Eddie Wright was in the building, did his thing with the barbecue, flourishing in the sauce. So it was a great thing and a great event going forward. But I liked answering those questions. I think we might solicit a few more questions from some of the subscribers. If y'all got some questions for us, I like answering questions. I like Q&A. I like it. So if y'all have any questions out there that y'all would like for us to answer on the podcast right here, send them in kazandqueen@gmail.com, or you can DM us on social media. All right. kazandqueen@gmail.com. That's the email. Or Kaz and Queen on Instagram, Kaz and Queen on Twitter as well. DM us some questions. Or you can put it in the comments under this video here on YouTube. DM some questions. We love to do Q&A. Maybe we'll try to do a Q&A at the end of every episode. We like answering questions. That's a pretty cool thing. But at any rate, we're going to get on out of here. The Thanksgiving holidays is past us, and now we're heading towards Christmas. And now officially in the household, of course, we've already had our decorations up and things are up. I've already watched one Christmas movie that I liked. So shouts out to Lil Rel and Ludacris on the Disney movie that they have out. I like that Christmas movie. You make more Christmas movies like that, then I'll watch them. Okay, all of those. It's fantastic. So the eggnog will be starting here probably in another few days, and you are getting ready for your retreat.
Yes,
on the weekend.
Yes,
in just maybe 2-3
Very
days.
excited.
Tell them about that real quick.
Doing the inaugural Breathe and Let Go Healing Retreat starting December 1st through the 3rd. It's going to be epic. We've had a lot of community partners to give us gifts and giveaways and prizes. I have a phenomenal team, Javonda Stanton, Ivory Cancer, and Artrice Rhodes, who are working with me to make this just a phenomenal event. It's going to be about healing. It's going to be about sort of evaluating yourself to identify the things that no longer serve you so that we can release them, and identifying what it is that you need to successfully, carry through your journey, your spiritual journey. Spiritualism is very important. It's very important to acknowledge who you are and to pay attention to what's happening in your life, so that restoration happens, so that self-care happens. Everything that people do for self-care may not necessarily be the thing you need for self-care. So we're going to identify what restores you, what helps you to feel best about yourself. Yep. So we have a This Is Me brunch where we're going to dive deep into who you think you are, and is that person the person that you're showing up as? Because a lot of us wear masks because we've been hurt and we are in pain, and we've worn those masks so long that we don't know who we are. We are basically operating on autopilot. So during this retreat, we're going to take the mask off so you can identify who you are with your pain and turn that pain into power. It's going to be phenomenal. Thank you to everyone who has signed up thus far. We have ended registration, and now we are in we ready to kick the field goal.
Preparation mode.
We kicking the field goal. It's about to go down. So look for it. Don't miss it. We will be doing it every year because it is important, and maybe even twice a year. I've already got people who asked for it to be like in the summertime. So maybe we'll consider that for next year. But we definitely are intentional about it being towards the end of the year so that we can do proper evaluations. But if you are missing the retreat, I'm also doing year-end reflection sessions so that you can get this same thing in a one-on-one session. So contact me to book your year-end reflection queen session, and we can get that done for you too. So there's no reason why you should leave this year not understanding what this year meant for you. And there's no reason why you should leave this year not understanding what your focus and goal for yourself will be next year.
There you go.
If you do the retreat or if you do the queen session, either one, I got you.
There it is. The Breathe and Let Go retreat is going down in just a few days. If you're watching us today, 2-3 more days. December the 1st is when it begins, December the 1st through the 3rd. And if you missed this one, it'll be coming up again real soon. Just another one of the great things that we've got going on over here with Team Kaz and Queen, according to Kaz and Queen. So make sure y'all continue to stay tuned. We got more stuff, more events, and a lot of other stuff happening for you as well. All right. As always, for According to Kaz and Queen, I'm Kaz.
And I'm Queen.
And this is According to Kaz and Queen. And we'll see you guys next time.